The cathedral. Through distant thunder and the tearing sound of tires on wet roads that swept into the underpass on occasion heard, or glimpsed from council blocks of different stories, through layers of smoke against a darkened sky, in low cloud-scarred sunbeams before storms, through condensed-up windows of single-glazed claustro-mazed bed-sitting rooms, from under sheltering columns of vast Piranesi-esque spaghetti junction flyovers, passing past like strobe lights from trains, through hailstorms where the dispossessed would wander with bags of full and empty tinnies, and sleep the seldom sunlit hours in cardboard Hilton's round bins of flames, from the car packs of grey space malls where vehicles clustered, insectoid sunroof carapaces glistening, exhausts gently sighing backwards into entropy. Between store parades of sleeping ghost franchises, the cathedral occupied the highest point in the city. From each vantage it might have been a different building, such was the outward confusion of its design. In accord with unique pledging instructions from the third bishop ruled, at once Norman, international and neo-Gothic, Byzantine, pre-fascist to Italianate, Roman and medieval, it had been added to, modified, refaced, refaceted and repaired for 1,000 years. Texturized reinforced oxide-tinted concrete flying buttresses supporting ancient red sandstone to support an additional haphazard pale verdigris Namibian marble dome or a yet higher spire or octagonal clock tower with dual helical interweaving stairs and mazes of tiny cells for occupation by monks, miscreants, mezzanine laboratories, predictive microscope and camera rooms with concealed radio dishes, antennae and telescopes disguised into the flora and statuary of the exterior decoration. In cross-section it might almost be described as an organism, for beneath the ground it extended for unknown miles of supple corridors, half-forgotten rail connections bypassing beaching, Nouveau Maglev superconducting links, crypts and dungeons and private chapels illuminated by solar tubes hidden in the columns, fountains and worthwhile monuments dotted about the city, with dusty vaults, libraries and catacombs containing scrolls, cable feeds, archaic moldering and deserted mechanical telecom hubs. Discrete hives of new activities linked directly to the surface via plexiglass stairwells leading to innocuous suburban garages and triple surveillance secured privately monitored stockrooms. Permanently in a state of flux they were building a new spire atop the West Wing clock tower. A decreasing coil of stainless steel and perspex with motorized sensor pods in shifting geometrical configurations punctuating its sides, having the appearance of some strange scientific apparatus as much as ecclesiastical symbol. Lit at night like some modern object of earthly delight. Whilst the east wing, partially crumbling frost-blown red brick and overgrown with ivy and sycamore roots, even the bishop had little comprehension of the extent of the building, being so preoccupied with the demands of the rapid construction works. The east spire, designed by Emilio Rodchenk in 1926, faceted in zinc and copper and lined with lead pipes, coiled tubings and ancient astrolabial valve circuit automation, was itself a resonant chamber, letting out 12 bell-like tones of unearthly cross-modulated sine wave cognizance across the city at 2 points in the calendar, the 19th of May and New Year's Eve. Now shored up by scaffolding and slapdash applications of colored mortar, whilst the university worked on proactive dampening algorithms to control destructive resonant harmonics. Upon lengthy petition after the Reformation, the now relatively landless edifice had been bequested to Maurice, Duke of Lanarkshire, as private domicile. And it was he that constructed the main tower at the north wing. After the collapse ostensibly from lightning strike, but actually from overambitious and under-considered design, his seventh grandson with renewed vigor reconstructed it some 50 meters higher using innovative cast iron framing and interiorly illuminated fenestrations, and also the imposing four-story entrance portico which featured the now famously faked Bernini bronze of the patron saint, which became notorious after Ruskin's visit and subsequent article in the Morning Chronicle concerning the hidden gestural implications in the statue from the southwest approach, hence the hurried construction of the new southeast approach to provide better access pending the state visit of the sovereign nympho. He scathingly described the building as a monument to an as yet unknown religion. Other ill-informed historians and aesthetes have commented on the additions as being inappropriate to the conceptual proportions of the original spirit of the building. At the time of its construction, the Duke was reported to having had the entrance bounced by armored Swiss pygmies dressed in Chinese vermilion silk brocade to make it seem even more imposing at soirees, before finally exhausting the family fortunes on extravagant further building work to vindicate his reputation until finally, upon his disappearance and hemorrhaging cash, the family speedily returned the building to the care of the church upon their bankruptcy proceedings of 1801 as penance. After the murder of the 93rd Bishop Stanley in 1976 whilst at prayer in the High Dome Chapel Alan, ostensibly over a tenancy arrears debacle with a migrant pipe solderer, but reported subsequently as involving government intrigue with offshore partisans, or freedom fighters, commemorated with the playground clapping song "We Don't Know What He Was Done, But Bishop Stan They Done Him In, They Done Stan With a Gun." The cathedral had been rechristened the High Chapel by the locals, and has since witnessed a significant positive shift in its fortunes as hundreds of pilgrims began to visit daily the site of his unfortunate demise, having heard of its healing powers. A pinkish spotlight was quickly added to properly illuminate the softly phosphorescent greenish marble altar. The new Stanley Chapel, designed by Armenian architect Sohail Ananiat, is a transparent ascending and descending perspex oblate with room for 8 people, at €50 each, set within a steel and perspex spiraling spire up atop the west tower. Generative fractal sonic ambience algorithmically recomposed with bespoke software from their conversation in the waiting zone is replayed to the visitors, with bucket brigade delay quotients ranging from 2 milliseconds to 20 seconds, as they are ascended to the small lofty bell chamber, a rotating transparent polyhedron designed so as to reverberate sound whilst seeming open to the elements, contains a tiny Tibetan chime and English prayer wheel for each of the pilgrims to strike and turn in turn, and take a commemorative red string to tie around their wrist, for a silent sound to travel across the city, and a word be returned. According to the blurb, visitors report the uncanny sensation of being in a giant echoing cave whilst standing in the clouds. Whether this effect is achieved via concealed acoustic equipment is unspecified. Cultural commenters have disparagingly compared it to a tacky fairground ride. One physicist mentioned that it closely follows the model of a new experimental design of EM field-focusing particle antenna. Whilst the physics department at the university made no comment on the mystery when questioned by the local rag. Now they are measuring the transept. Apart from the being filigree interior arches lined with methodical details resembling fractals laser-scanned in 3D by helmeted architectural anthropologists suspended on guy ropes, all is stillness within, scanning the floor with GPR, the whispers of centuries hushed. Visitors are led through small pools of colored sunlight, through darkened colonnades of obsessively decorated reflective enamel and mosaic, past looming black granite shrines surrounded by cracked pavements of jumbled-up names and dates, art installations and videography of the lives of all of the appropriate saints literally reenacted for paltry sums in the slums of the Eastern Territories and carefully archived, the faded and dusty 1950s brochures of associated tours to satiate the wanderlust of diligent neophytes. And the offerings, and the footfall. Continuous.